Yama, I'm Jack Evans and you're watching BTN. Here's what's coming up. We'll learn about Victoria's history-making treaty, take a look at the life of Saint Carlo Acutis, and meet a winner of the Takeover Burnie competition. First up today, we're going to Papua New Guinea, where there are big celebrations going on right now to mark 50 years since the country became independent. Ren caught up with a former BTN presenter to find out why that's significant to PNG and Australia.
It's a huge week for Papua New Guinea. There'll be fireworks, festivals, and a lot of celebrating as the country marks 50 years of being a country.
We celebrate Independence Day by dressing in our traditional attires,
singing traditional songs, and dancing traditional dances.
On Independence Day, Papua New Guineans celebrate like no other place on earth I've ever seen, even if it's not 50 years, just on a normal independence.
This is Tanya. She actually used to host a little show called BTN.
Hi there, welcome to Behind the News. I'm Tanya Nugent.
She's also Papua New Guinean, but when she was little, Papua New Guinea was not an independent country. In fact, it was part of Australia. You see, our countries have a long shared history. They were actually part of the same continent up until around 12,000 years ago.
The connection between our peoples was right back then when we were still Sahul.
But fast forward to the 1800s, oh, there we go. It was a time when European countries were competing to claim as much territory as possible, regardless of who was there first. In 1848, the Netherlands claimed what we now know as West Papua. And in 1884, Germany and Britain took control of these parts. But in 1906, Britain handed over its territory to Australia. And then, during World War I, Australia seized Germany's part as well. Australia set up plantations, gold mines, and had control of Papua New Guinea's health services, education system, and all government functions, from lawmaking to policing. And during the Second World War, thousands of Papua New Guinean people died alongside Aussie soldiers as they fought off a Japanese army on the Kokoda Track. But many Papuan people wanted independence and pushed for change.
Better education and crops, improved fishing methods, the eradication of pests and disease.
In 1964, Australia supported Papua New Guinea to hold its very first elections.
This is where New Guinea's appointment with democracy begins.
And in 1973, then Prime Minister Gough Whitlam promised to make the territory independent. But there were concerns he was moving too fast.
My government feels that we should not set a date for independence until we have achieved self-government and have had time to adjust to self-government.
In December 1973, Papua New Guinea was made a self-governing territory.
Australia is no longer willing to be the ruler of a colony.
And just 2 years later, on September 16th, it was officially recognised as an independent country.
I was 7 years old on Independence Day, so I remember it. I remember standing there when the flag was raised on Independence Hill for the very first time, and everyone was just really excited. Like, I was excited. I thought the adults had lost their minds, they were so excited.
But the next few years were difficult. There was violence and political instability.
The period between self-government and independence was extremely short. And I think that, to be honest, Papua New Guinea is feeling the effects of that today. We did need a bit more time to grapple with the new system of government and all the rapid changes that were happening.
Today, Papua New Guinea still faces challenges, but people like Tanya are proud of all they've achieved.
We're really proud. We're really proud that we've managed to hold our country together.
And today, both Australia and Papua New Guinea will be celebrating as we acknowledge the past and look towards the future.
Simple Independence Day means to us freedom.
It is important because we celebrate the unity, pride, and freedom for being Papua New Guineans.
We are independent and we are free.
The huge protests that burned down Nepal's parliament and resulted in the Prime Minister resigning last week were known as what? The Gen Z protests, the Millennial protests, or the social media protests? They're being called the Gen Z protests. The young protesters were angry about the government ban on social media and accused their leaders of being corrupt.
These politicians are keeping all the money.
19 Russian military drones ended up in the airspace of which country last week? Poland, Lithuania, or Belarus? It was Poland. Russia said it was an accident, but it was pretty serious.
This situation brings us the closest we have been to open conflict since World War II.
Who did South Australia's Premier meet last week? It was the King. Peter Malinowskis was in the UK to try to boost investment in defence and met the monarch to talk about the algal bloom, the Whyalla Steelworks, and South Australia's bid to host next year's COP31 climate meeting.
Wouldn't it be magnificent if Adelaide was to host COP and he was able to attend?
A mural by the street artist Banksy has been removed from the wall of a court building in London. Do you know what it showed? A baby with a smartphone, a soldier and a protester, or a judge and a protester? It was a judge attacking a protester. It was interpreted by some as a comment on the recent arrest of protesters supporting a banned pro-Palestinian group.
I do think it is a Palestine protester, and then the judge obviously, is squashing their views, etc., and the right to protest.
Now to Victoria, where a historic piece of legislation was introduced to Parliament last week. It was a treaty between the state government and the state's First Nations people. Let's find out what a treaty is and why it's something many Australians have wanted for a long time.
House will move to introduction of bills.
This is the moment history was made.
I commend the bill to the House.
On the 9th of September, Victoria became the first state or territory to introduce a treaty to its parliament.
This will reset the relationship between First Peoples and government.
This is it, the statewide treaty of 2025. All 258 pages. Just on a tablet because I didn't want to print all those pages. A treaty is an agreement between two parties. They could be countries or groups of people. It's kind of like a contract with a list of responsibilities and duties. Oh, and it's legally binding. That's why treaties have played a really important part in history, whether it's ending wars or establishing rights for Indigenous people. You've probably heard of New Zealand's Treaty of Waitangi, which was agreed on between the British Crown and Maori chiefs. It guaranteed that Maori people had control of their lands and waterways, and granted them the same rights and privileges as British citizens. Meanwhile, Canada has 25 treaties with its First Nations. In fact, every major Commonwealth country has a treaty with its Indigenous peoples. Oh, except Australia. When Australia was colonised, First Nations people were forcibly removed from their land, subjected to violence, and made to work for little or no pay. And in 1901, when Australia became a federation, First Nations people weren't given a say in how this new nation would work. In fact, until 1967, they were specifically excluded by the Constitution. Over time, there have been many calls for a treaty that would recognise the rights of First Nations people and pave the way for reconciliation. But it wasn't until the second half of the 20th century that it became a national discussion. In 1988, the Prime Minister at the time, Bob Hawke, was handed something called the Barunga Statement, which, amongst other things, called for a treaty. And Mr. Hawke said this:
"There shall be a treaty."
Well, I heard it on the radio. That didn't happen, but the debate didn't go away. Treaty now. Fast forward to 2017 and hundreds of First Nations people met at Uluru, where they came up with this, the Uluru Statement from the Heart, which called for a makarada, a Yolngu word for coming together, peacemaking and treaty. In the years since, there have been several attempts to establish treaties, but Victoria's will be the first to actually become law. The statewide treaty promises to recognise Victoria's First Nations' ongoing connection to the land and establish a government body called Gulong Wall.
This will create a body that will enact real, practical change for First Peoples in our state.
The treaty will also include changes to the Victorian primary and high school curriculum to include more in-depth teachings of First Nations history, culture and people.
The treaty won't take anything away from anyone. It's about building up, not tearing down. It's about a partnership.
Not everyone supported the treaty. The coalition said it would be too expensive and too similar to the National Voice, which Victorians voted no to. But the Labor Party says it'll have enough votes to pass. Now, many are hoping it will inspire treaties in other states.
This empowerment that the treaty bill will give us, it's heart-lifting. It fills my cup, and I hope it fills everyone else's cup.
Did you know September 17th is Citizenship Day? It was created to celebrate what it means to be an Australian citizen, whether you were born here or whether you moved here from overseas. Justina found out more about the role that migration has played in Australia's history and why it's been causing some debate recently.
My name is Kinjal and I was born in Kathmandu, Nepal.
And my name is Lisa and I was born in Australia.
Kinjal and Lisa are both 14 and have been friends ever since they were kids. And while they're both Aussies, how they received their citizenship was a bit different.
I became an Australian citizen when my mom applied for a citizenship and she sat the test and I just became a citizen through her.
And how about you?
I became an Australian citizen by being born here. When my parents first came to Australia, they applied and got officially an Australian citizen in 2014.
And just like Kinjal and Lisa, a lot of Aussie citizens have families that came from overseas. In fact, more than half of all the people living in Australia are either migrants themselves or have at least one parent born in a different country.
It felt pretty good, becoming an Australian citizen felt like I belonged here more. It felt like an accomplishment for my mom.
People come to Australia for all sorts of reasons. Some of them come as students or to work, to reunite with family, or to seek safety as refugees.
Me and my mom moved for a better life. It's not that great in Nepal, and there's more opportunity here, and just for my future and just for a stable job.
Not all migrants stay permanently and become citizens, but many do. Migration has been a big part of Australia's history from the time it was colonised in 1788. In the 1850s, the discovery of gold in Australia attracted people from all over the world and began to shape a new national identity for Australia. After World War II, Australia welcomed millions of British and European migrants to grow the nation. In the 70s, Australia officially became a multicultural country and accepted thousands of refugees from Vietnam and migrants from many other countries.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Australia.
Over the last 10 years, between 400,000 to 500,000 people have moved to Australia each year, while around 300,000 have left each year. There was a big drop-off during the COVID-19 pandemic and then a rise the next year to make up for it.
This is an anti-mass immigration rally.
Recently, there's been some debate about whether we need to slow down migration.
Mass immigration at the moment is just not the right time. The way we're struggling with housing, the way we're struggling with hospital beds and everything else.
Some say our population growth is putting pressure on things like housing and infrastructure. But others say we need more people coming to Australia to boost the economy and make sure we have enough workers. Australians aren't having as many kids as we used to, and without migration, our population would go down. And some reckon we wouldn't have enough people to look after our ageing population. Plus, migration brings cultural diversity, and many reckon that's what makes Australia the country that it is.
We're a modern nation that has benefited from our multiculturalism, that overwhelmingly people live in harmony of different ethnicities, different religions, different backgrounds, and we're enriched by the diversity in this country.
Being an Australian means having equal rights and being accepted and belonging in a diverse community.
Because of those recent protests, it feels like they don't really want us here, like some people. But otherwise, it's they should understand we all came from all over the world and we should just live together, just be happy in peace.
Now we're going to South Australia to a school which has named their new building in honour of the world's first millennial saint. Justina found out what a saint is and what Saint Carlo Acutis means to young Catholics.
Hi BTN, my name is Mateo.
My name is Loris.
My name is Christian.
And my name is Lila. Come see our new Carlo Acutis building.
Yeah, this brand new building at St Joseph's is pretty special, not just because it's new.
It's one of the first buildings in the world to be dedicated to Saint Carlo.
To represent a saint who is young, just like us.
It's really exciting because this sculpture right here was sent straight from Italy.
Carlo Acutis was born in London in 1991, but he grew up in Italy. He loved soccer, computer programming, video games, especially Pokemon, and spending time with his pet dog Billy.
Definitely, Carlo was an ordinary child like everybody. I used to play, to have friends, to go to school. But his extraordinary was the fact that he opened the door of his heart to Jesus and he put Jesus at the first place in his life.
From a young age, Carlo devoted his life to God. As a Catholic, he believed in miracles, which the Church defines as extraordinary events that can't be defined by science or nature.
At 11, Carlo created a website cataloguing miracles from all around the world, complete with maps, translations, and a virtual museum. His use of technology for spreading his faith later earned him the nickname God's Influencer.
Carlo was known for his great computer skills and kind and loving hearts. He brought everyone he knew closer to God and Jesus.
Saint Carlo Acutis was a very kind person. He liked to give away lots of money to the poor.
In 2006, when he was 15 years old, Carlo died of leukemia. And not long afterwards, many in the church started to say there was something special about him.
In 2012, the Catholic Church started to officially investigate whether Carlo met the criteria to become a saint.
Saints are people who are recognised by some Christians, including Catholics, as being exceptionally close to God.
A saint is someone who completely devotes their life to God and following Jesus' footsteps.
Also, becoming a saint takes a very long time.
First of all, the person needs to have died at least 5 years before the investigation begins. They must have lived a holy life, showing deep love for God and helping others, and there needs to be proof of 2 miracles performed through them after their death. According to the church, Carlo's first miracle happened in 2014, when a young boy in Brazil was healed from a rare condition after praying to him. That miracle led to Carlo's beatification in 2020, which meant he was officially declared blessed, one step away from sainthood. Then in 2022, a second miracle was reported after a woman in Costa Rica recovered from a serious bike accident after her mother prayed to Carlo. Then on September 7th, Carlo became Saint Carlo, alongside another Italian, Pier Giorgio Frassati, who died in 1925 at the age of 24.
Today, this is a wonderful celebration for all of Italy, for all of the church, for all of the world.
Saint Carlo is the world's first millennial saint, and many hope he will help young people to feel more connected to the Catholic Church.
He's inspired me to be more helpful to people.
He teaches me to be a better person.
He has also inspired me to use my computer for spreading the word of God.
He shows that we're all different, but in heart we can all be the same and love God.
Can you name the only Australian saint? It's Mary MacKillop. She was born in Melbourne and lived most of her life in South Australia, where she founded schools and worked with the poor.
South Aussies are in mourning after the Adelaide Crows lost to the Hawks by 34 points, becoming the first minor premiers in 40 years to crash out of the finals in straight sets. The nightmare started with 2 goals in the first 30 seconds.
Jack Johnston!
And it continued from there. Hawthorn will now go on to face Geelong in a preliminary final.
They're annoyingly good, and hopefully it's our turn to get rid of them.
Meanwhile, the Brisbane Broncos pulled off one of the most frantic wins in NRL history.
An ending you could not script!
By halftime, the Raiders were up by 6 points, and things got a bit heated. In the end, it was Ben Hunt who secured the 29-28 win for the Broncos, with a 40-metre field goal during Golden Point, sending the side to the preliminary final. And finally to the UK, where Matilda's star, Sam Kerr, has returned to the pitch for the first time since tearing her ACL back in 2024. Kerr took to the field in the 75th minute of this weekend's match against Aston Villa and made quite the entrance, scoring her 100th goal for Chelsea, helping the side bring home a 3-1 win. Welcome back.
As you just heard, it's AFL final season, which is a big deal if you're a footy fan. You're about to meet a young Tasmanian who found his own connection to the game, but not on the field. Lucas was one of the winners of the ABC's Takeover Burnie competition. Check it out.
I didn't grow up dreaming of footy. I never was the kid in the backyard practicing kicks. I didn't pick a team, didn't wear a scarf. But Dad's been a part of South Burnie since he was a kid. Says the club's always fitted him like a glove. It never felt like that for me. When I tagged along on game days, I stuck to myself, eating hot chips, counting down the quarters. Dad kept asking me if I wanted to help. I said no every time. I didn't want to let anyone down. Then one Saturday, Greenie, the head trainer, asked if I could run water. That was it. No big moment, just a vest and a nod. And you don't say no to Greenie. The instructions were simple. Don't go near the bowl, get in, get out. I had no idea what I was doing. It was chaos. I guessed the whole time. When to run, where to run. But I figured it out. I know it made me feel stupid while I did. After that, I never missed a game. I get there early to lay the cones, pad the posts, fill the bottles. 2 years on, I've got my own little crew of water runners, which still surprises me. I didn't think I was a leader, but I enjoy it. When footy's done, I take my pug Billy for a beach walk with Mum and Dad. Even if it's a freezing Tassie day like today, we just rug up. We adopted her from someone at the club, took her in like the club did with me. Running water seems like a small thing, but to me, it's how I found where I belong. And I still grab my hot chips at half time. Only now, I don't eat them alone.
Well done, Lucas, and congrats to all the Takeover Burnie winners. Now, we're going to be taking a bit of a break for a couple of weeks, but Newsbreak will still be working hard to bring you the news every weekday. And of course, you can check out our website whenever you like. Have a great time, stay safe, and we'll see you very soon. Bye!